All the tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG
Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morris, or Morris, aka Russ, and with me this week is
PJ Coffey from the Southampton Guild of Role Players. Russ, as ever, I am delighted to be here. And joining us now, some have claimed that she's artificially intelligent, but I say it's all the real thing. She is the acme of digital perfection. She's the one. She's the only.
It's me, Jessica from EM Publishing. What an intro. Thank you very much.
That would be quite good fun if it turned out that you were in fact a robot.
For who?
Well, for me.
Oh, might be a bit of a Blade Runner experience for me, you know.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Sort of
So how's our week been? Have we had a good week?
Yes, it's been quite nice, thank you.
Yeah. Launched the Gate Pass Gazette Annual on Backer Kit, which is the first time we've done a Backer Kit crowdfunding campaign.
Yes,
and people backed it.
What?
Which is good.
Yeah. I am enjoying this. I'm pleased for you. This is good.
Yeah. At least 4 people backed it.
Well,
possibly
it's like
more.
It was. Yes, it is more than 4.
It is more than 4.
We have fully funded, so it's more than 4. More than 4.
Okay.
And that's 5 really generous people. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very generous people. Okay, shall we dive into some news? Because we've got a big week this week. Mainly, I'd say, about the upcoming D&D Monster Manual. That's the big topic this week, because the whole publicity machine's kind of geared up now, and it's all coming out like the big old fire hose of sort of Monster Manual news has been sort of spraying all over the internet. But before that, I thought we could do a couple of bits of non-D&D news and then do the Monster Manual stuff afterwards. How does that sound? Like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, then. Right. Let's start with... Well, this is an interesting one. So there was an article recently by Polygon, which got a bit of pushback on social media. I kind of in two minds about it. I get why there was pushback, but I also get why the situation is like it is, being, you publish news as well, so I get it. But basically, it was a longish article, mainly talking about some of the missteps that D&D has taken over the last few years. OGL, various controversies they've been involved in.
That might help people get some context for what's going on. It's time for independent tabletop role-playing games to get loud. Subtitle, The dragon is wounded and it's time to throw yourselves into the breach. Which is gonna ruffle some feathers.
Well, it's the article more than the headline which did it.
I imagine the article perhaps reflects the headline. That's my understanding how these things are supposed to work. But I'm sorry, Russ, I interrupted. Please tell us more.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being invaded by dogs yet again, as often happens on this show. So there's a general look at sort of the current state of D&D, and it's a critical look. It's D&D's not doing great at the moment kind of look in terms of controversies and things like that. Then it goes on to talk about indie creators and kind of criticizes them for, and I quote, sitting in their own little corners of the internet and wringing their hands rather than being heard. Which was a phrase which a lot of indie creators did take exception to.
Yes, I can see a few indie creators on this very screen. Yes.
Yeah. As people did point out,
I mean,
every indie creator would love to have their stuff. I'm being talked over. Okay. Every indie creator would love to have their content on Polygon and other sort of I don't know, are they mainstream? They're not sort of mainstream in the sense that the Daily Mail is, but they are a lot more mainstream.
They have a lot of reach.
Yeah. So I use the word mainstream then. Mainstream sites, they would absolutely love to have their stuff featured on sites like this, and frequently they do send out press releases and things like that to these main sites without getting a response. Or so it's not like they're not trying.
Yeah. Like Rascal, for instance, is uninterested in things that don't affect North America.
Is that so?
Which no, they're just not interested. It's like reached out myself. I know some people who've reached out with quite impressive stuff, like basically an indie role-playing game with quite a bit of community behind it, and they've also been rejected in fairly uncompromising terms. So,
well, I mean, Rascal is kind of more like EN World. It's more of a niche indie sort of size site rather than like the Polygons and the IO9s and the the really big sort of pop culture, proper mainstream sites.
But when the role playing game site is reject articles, it's like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to get the gumption to speak to the EN Worlds or indeed the Polygons? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, as I said, I can see it from the other side because we at EN World, we will get like dozens and dozens of sort of I'm not sure what the word is, but people will reach out to us dozens and dozens of times a day. And there's just literally no way we can cover it all. It's just impossible. It is a firehouse. It's so much stuff. There's like new Kickstarters every single day. There's new games. There's more than one game a day coming out. It's and so I get it.
But it's really unfair to put that back on the indie creator.
Yeah.
In their press release, who's reaching out, who's doing what they can. It's not really. I don't think it's on the indie creator saying, "Hey, you're not doing enough." Because most indie creators I know are trying really hard to promote their game and to get it out there. But like PJ was saying earlier, they don't have the same budgets that Hasbro and D&D have, or indeed other bigger sites, because you can't just drop 5-10 grand on a marketing campaign. When you're running,
and even a 5-10 grand marketing campaign isn't much. It's not a lot of reach.
Yeah, especially compared to like D&D. But I was thinking, even in the indie world, that is 5 or 10 grand on a marketing campaign is quite a lot. So PJ's just having some internet connection issues.
I can see.
Take their screen off for a moment while they reconnect.
We will carry on nevertheless.
Because for those listening to the podcast that won't know, we are actually recording this live on the internet and streaming it. So that's exciting.
But I was just going to say, like, just from like this article about indie games mentions D&D something like 20 odd times, and then mentions one indie game, Mothership.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the article itself is an illustration of the problem, because it's not talking about indie games, it's talking about D&D with one mention of Mothership.
Yeah. And Mothership is a great game, but
it's an amazing game. It's a fantastic game. But the point is, the article should be filled with references to indie games. Yeah. Given the subject matter of the article, but it's not.
It's incredibly difficult to get any traction in this regard. The default setting for many conversations is to refer to things in terms of D&D, because it's, especially 5th edition, it is the lingua franca, the common language. And persuading indie RPG creators to not talk about things in terms of D&D is challenging, to say the least. This then leads to another problem. Basically, the problem is one of anchoring.
And from the news publishing point of view, I also get it, because people don't read the non-D&D stuff. You put up, I mean, we published quite a lot of non-D&D stuff because we kind of feel like it's our mission. That's our job. But the non-D&D stuff, people don't read it. I mean, some people do, obviously, but in terms of scale, like a D&D article will get 100 times the eyeballs that a non-D&D article, or more, 1,000 times the eyeballs that a non-D&D article will.
I have an entire podcast, not D&D, where we talk about different indie
Exactly.
tabletop RPG things this week, and yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is the nature of it. So
the numbers aren't coming through on that, so it's
yeah. So I get it from all sides. I just feel that the article was just tonally off.
Yeah. I will say that back in the bad old days when I was working in sales, they were very clear to me that if I was going to talk to people, what I didn't do was I didn't mention the competition. Because if you mention the competition, then people think about your product in terms of the competition, and that's bad. Because then they're thinking about your competitors, not about what you're selling.
Yeah.
I do try and explain that, but I am one small persistent.
We are talking about a news site here, though, not a publisher.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the publisher's job to mention the competition and to put everything into a context. Absolutely. And to make sure that they cover the whole story.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, there are things that indie publishers could do better, but really we do need to be met halfway by, like, you know, the Ian Worlds, the Polygons, the IO9s, the game Screen Rants. You know, they need to up their game as well. We can't all rely on the Financial Times to carry our work.
Yeah. But yes, such is the nature of branding, I guess, and big brands, and we are but 0.1% of the pie that is D&D.
Indeed.
If that, and that's just how it is, unfortunately.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. Right. Shall we move on?
Yeah. What other news have we got?
That feels very doom and gloomy, but I would say it's still actually a fairly good time to be an indie tabletop role-playing game.
It has been. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like
with the advent of crowdfunding and things like that, it's an amazing time to be an indie creator.
Yeah, and like there are more customers out there than ever before. It's just hard to get across to them.
Reach them.
Yes. Like,
and there's also more creators out there than ever before as well. So of course, it's also harder to stand out from the crowd because there's so many, so much competition out there for basically eyeballs.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not just other creators that you're competing with. You're competing with the whole of the internet. You're competing with the cat pictures, and you're competing with all sorts of things.
How am I meant to compete with a cat picture?
Exactly.
I'm setting myself up for failure right there.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could combine the two, which we might talk about a little later: D&D and cat pictures.
Okay, I thought you were about to announce Jessica.
Oh yes,
future versions of not D&D whilst wearing cat ears, which I'm sure would have an effect on audience numbers.
I do have antlers and fawn ears. So
still not a cat, but still
it's not a cat, but it isn't an animal.
I'm not sure I particularly recognise a fawn ear as opposed to a cat ear.
No, you would.
Your biological recognition deficit aside for us.
I showed you last week on this very stream.
About this big.
Well, size-wise, yes, but because they'll be scaled up anyway, won't they? They're not going to be cat-sized cat ears.
If we're not segueing into talking about the D&D news that includes animals, should we mention some other news?
Yes.
As we're in the doom and gloom side of things, shall we stay in that side of things?
All right, and then we'll move on to a slightly more cheerful thing.
All right, let's talk about bankruptcy.
There we go.
Bankruptcy is always fun.
Obviously this isn't great. But yeah, so Diamond Comics own kind of Alliance Game Distribution in a very roundabout way. Alliance Games Distribution is a North American, I believe in other parts of the world as well, but they're very big in North America, I know. Distributor of toys, games, including role-playing games. And they are being sold because the parent company, which is Diamond Comics, are going bankrupt. Which kind of sucks for everybody that works there, because when things are sold and things go bankrupt, that obviously creates job uncertainty, and also I know a lot of stores use Alliance to get all the latest games and stuff for their distribution. So this will impact a lot of people. So that's a shame. But it looks like Alliance is being purchased by Universal Distribution, and Universal are a distributor in North America as well. So maybe that will just become, part of that. Yes.
Yeah. So Alliance owes a lot of people a lot of money.
Yes.
Oh.
So in the tabletop gaming segment, I mean, obviously Diamond is a comics book distributor mainly.
Yes.
The Alliance part of it is a small part of the whole. But it owes Wizards of the Coast nearly $1 million.
Wow.
Hasbro separately to Wizards of the Coast, because, obviously comics, toys, all sorts of stuff that they had over $1 million.
Wow.
Catalyst Game Labs, which is BattleTech, Shadowrun, things like that, nearly $500,000. So there's a whole bunch of tabletop gaming. I know they own Paizo some money. They own Monty Cook Games was on the list, some money. So there's a lot of sort of mid-tier tabletop RPG companies are going to be affected by this.
And significantly so. I mean, $2 million or $1 billion turnover. It's like, it's annoying. It's a problem, but it's not going to be the end of the world. $500,000 when you're making significantly less than that.
Yeah,
that is a big worry for Catalyst Game Labs. Like I'm sure.
Yeah. Like things like Penguin Random House, they owe like nearly 10 million and things like that. So outside the tabletop gaming, you look at the full list of the sort of top 30 creditors. Some of them are way much bigger debts. So it's a lot of money, an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
When money gets to that level, it just stops making sense to me because I can't.
Stop being just numbers at that point. Isn't it?
It's wild because it's not money that I would ever have in my hands.
But you can't even relate it to anything. You can't relate it to your house or your car or anything like that because it's so much bigger than even those things, which are the biggest things that you will ever own.
I don't even own either of those things. Like that's the scale I'm at.
Also that.
But but hopefully everybody that's owed money on that, they're able to move over to Universal and get their stock moving and get paid that way. Hopefully that all resolves. But this is a thing that will affect the North American tabletop industry.
Yes, yeah. So Chapter 11 bankruptcy isn't the worst type of insolvency. It's one that can be used to restructure and things like that. Which it's not. So it's not the worst situation it could be.
Okay.
It's not everything's gone. Nobody's getting any money. Goodbye. It's
it's not great.
It's not great.
No. But as bankruptcies go, it's the least bad, maybe.
Lesser of the two evils, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes any sense whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad there is less evil.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my other sad news. Whilst we were on the not so positive side of things, does anyone have anything positive?
Yeah. Should I do something a little bit more cheerful?
Yes.
QI.
Please.
We all know what QI is, don't we?
Maybe not everyone on the internet does.
The TV show, currently hosted by Sandy Toksvig.
Oh, okay.
Panel show basically about obscure knowledge, quite interesting facts and information.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned the Diana Jones Award.
Which is a niche thing to mention.
Which is a niche thing to actually mention, yeah. So the Diana Jones Awards is one of the tabletop gaming awards. Happens every year just before Gen Con, and it's awarded to one person, company, game, convention, event, concept, as has happened before, each year.
I know that QI is a bit behind the times, though. Well, they're talking about the Diana Jones, which is obviously mentioning the etymology, which is that it's a partially burnt copy of the Indiana Jones role-playing game that got burnt. But it's failed to keep up with the times, and note that for the past couple of years, it's been missing in action. Or missing
the actual award statuette, that pyramid there with the burnt copy inside it, got lost in the post, basically.
Missing, presumed eaten by a moose.
Yes, yeah. I think it was going from Canada to America. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. I think it was like somebody had it in Canada. They tried to send it off, and then I don't know. It was waylaid by wild bears.
I'm just wondering if somebody somewhere's found it or come across it somehow. Don't know what it is. Thought that looks quite nice, and they've got it on their mantelpiece somewhere. No idea what this thing is. And it's just sitting there in some mantelpiece in North America somewhere.
I think it's most likely in landfill. I imagine it got lost in the post. I mean, I hate to say it, but statistically, most lost post ends up in some depot in the wrong place, stays there for a bit, then it passes an amount of time and they just throw it out.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is depressing, but is what happens. So
I still think it's very cool that QI mentioned it, though.
It is. Yes, it is. It is. That's a positive piece of news. Thank you.
It's not every day that Morris is an official tabletop RPG talk will be ahead of QI. So I think we should take a moment to feel stuck.
I think I would say if it's related to tabletop role playing games, I think we would be every time
ahead of QI.
Well, I'm sure
I feel confident saying that.
Unless QI were to release the official QI TTRPG.
Hopefully they'd send us a press release.
I have no idea how that would work.
You know who they should send it to? Polygon. Because if they're doing it, they should talk about it.
They should. Yeah. I hear that's all the rage nowadays.
Yeah, apparently so. Right. What other news have we got?
I've got something that might cheer you up.
Yeah.
I like things that cheer me up.
Well, I was happily minding my own business, cheerfully humming and whoring around on the old Blue Sky and so forth, when I came across this link here, A Time Traveler's Guide to Dinosaur Hunting.
Wow.
And I mean, I didn't really have much choice at this point, did I? I had to click through. It is 5th edition, but you know what it is? It's nearly 600 pages across 2 books of dinosaurs, pictures, stat blocks, the whole 9 yards in full color. I'm like, I bet I know someone who'd like that.
I would like that.
I also would quite like it. It's very shiny.
I like a dinosaur.
Wow, well, this has many.
All right, favorite dinosaur. Quick, off the top.
Let's say Ankylosaur.
I like a pterodactyl.
I'm a Stegosaurus myself.
Stegosaurus is good. I mean, I was again humming and hawing about various things, and now just like, you know what? My wife keeps on describing the Ankylosaur has an armored coffee table. I'm like, one that is
with a tail with a big spiked club on the end of it.
Well, like we said, armored coffee table. Do your coffee tables not have big spiky clubs and tails?
Why wouldn't you have? Yeah.
No, they do not. I'm clumsy. I walk into things constantly.
Well, Jessica, we've established that yours don't, because you're supposed to have nots.
Of course.
Anyway. Yeah, no, this looks awesome. This does look awesome. What's this? Okay. The insatiable undead Gigantosaurus roams the desolate tar fields of Lodros.
Yep.
Wow, hunting fresh brains.
Yeah. It's so at this time of recording, Friday, 17th of January. It is 3 days into the Kickstarter. It's £155,000 against £8,000 goal. That's $190,000 short on a $10,000 goal. And yeah, it's taken off like nobody's business.
Wow.
Nice. And in January as well, which typically for crowdfunding is a little bit more of a conservative time. So, because everyone's
going directly up against the monster book, going directly up against the monster manual as well. So it's doing really well.
I mean, you're saying that, but if you're going to buy a monster book, then having 300 dinosaurs and prehistoric monsters, cyborg dinosaurs, mutant dinosaurs, alien dinosaurs, eldritch horrors, adventures.
I mean, I haven't seen the full monster manual for 2025 from D&D, but I feel confident saying it will not have that many dinosaurs.
I feel that Time Traveler's Guide to Dinosaurs does have them beat. Also has
on
more
dinosaurs
and saurian heritages. So one thing I did notice, which might appeal to the Ark Survival Evolved computer game fans, is it does have quite a crafting system attached to it. Don't have the details, but crafting systems are always very exciting for people. And I imagine there is a gameplay loop of find the dinosaur, kill the dinosaur, take the bits, make better weapons to help you find and kill further dinosaurs.
More dinosaurs. Yeah.
I mean, the plot is just writing itself at that point. I have to say, I'm down. I'm down.
Well, I'm going to back that.
That was a good
I
bit of
wasn't
news.
going to back anything in January.
The link is in the comments of the live stream or in the show notes of the podcast.
Yeah.
However you are
I'm gonna
consuming
spend some money.
Daryl Jones over at splatterink.com. You are very welcome.
Yeah. Wow. I noticed that some of those dinosaurs appear to be glowing slightly. In that picture.
All right, I've picked up on the segue.
You picked up on the segue, have you?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be great if you could have miniatures that glowed slightly?
Well, yes,
would that be?
That would be wonderful. Well, wouldn't you know? Have I got a piece of news for you to organically bring up in this conversation?
Glow-in-the-dark miniatures.
Yeah, WizKids are releasing glow-in-the-dark D&D minis. We have an image of a very cool Underdark one covered in mushrooms.
Yeah, so these are a set called Underdark Expeditions. Because I guess it's quite dark down there. So if you're going to glow in the dark, you might as well do it in the Underdark, I guess.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Glow in the Underdark. Yeah. And it's going to have like gelatinous clue. Why can I not talk? Gelatinous cubes, flumps, hook horrors, gas spores, things like that, and they're all going to glow in the dark.
Nice.
I mean, for the benefits of those who are not watching our YouTube live stream, I think it's YouTube. Yeah,
it's everywhere. It's on YouTube, on Facebook, and is it on Twitch as well? Is it on Twitch? I'm not sure if it's on Twitch. It's around places.
Yes. Either way, for those who are listening via the audio format, which I heartily recommend, what we're looking at is like if an egg had ridges and an eyeball and was covered in a web of green tendrils, which are glowing in the dark, and then from that egg sprang a variety of what look like green-capped mushrooms.
What is that?
I don't know.
I don't know what it is. What is it? It's like a beholder, but instead of eye stalks, it's got mushroom stalks.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
This mutant beholder is my best guess, and that's probably wrong. I think from I can't see the bottom of it, but it looks like it's supposed to be floating along in a cloud of presumably noxious gas. At least green is my understanding of that. So, yeah.
Maybe that's the gas spore they talked about. Maybe.
Well, that's significantly more intimidating than any gas spore I've ever seen. I had the impression of like sort of those children's partly filled helium balloons when they're just like floating along and then they explode at you. That's always been my understanding of fungal spores, but I could be wrong. This one has a certain malevolently intelligent look about it. Either way, not ideal for the player to see across the table. They'd be like, "Oh no, I don't like it."
Yeah. Well, this set has 44 glow in the dark miniatures.
So between 4 and 16. 4d4.
44.
I know.
44, right.
44, not 4D.
I heard 44 as well, PJ, so I'm glad you made the joke on the reference there.
I literally thought Russ was saying 4d4, so I was just super confused.
That's a new take. That's a new take on randomized collectibles. You don't even know how many you're getting.
4 big ones or 16 small ones, and some mixture in between.
Yeah,
they stand my weight now.
Yeah, you just go to the till, roll your dice, get what you get.
Yeah,
or like a booster pack for Magic or something.
Yeah.
You don't know what's in it until you open it up.
Sure.
I think that's a terrible idea, but
what you don't want to do is put these around your bedroom, because you would never get to sleep at night with like 44 glow in the dark, basically horrific monsters just staring at you while you're trying to sleep.
I mean, something would never be happening, but anyway,
yeah. Right. What's next?
Well, I don't have much to talk about beyond the big news of Dungeons and Dragons, because the Monster Manual's coming out, and like you said, the PR hype train is fully on now. So that's mostly what I have to talk about.
So shall we take a quick break
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we'll do the monster manual.
All right, let's do it. I'll see you both in 8 minutes.
8 minutes exactly.
Yes.
All right.
Precisely 8 minutes.
tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.
Hello, we are back. Exactly 8 minutes as promised, to the second.
I'm very precise.
Yes. So I got some good news for you, Jess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're going to like this.
Oh.
So, we're about to talk about the Monster Manual.
We are.
But before we do that, there was a press event at by Wizards of the Coast, mainly about the Monster Manual. And Beth from EN World went to this press event, and it was hosted by it started with a presentation by Jess Lanzillo, who's the VP of D&D franchise and products over at Wizards of the Coast. And before they delved into the Monster Manual, they just talked about sort of like the business of D&D in general briefly. There were a couple of tidbits in that, one of which mentioned your favorite thing in the entire world.
I do know what you're talking about now. Yes. Please carry on, though.
So, Baldur's Gate 3.
This is the way we talk about Baldur's Gate 3 this week on the podcast, as we do every week.
Yeah. We found some circular way to get around to it. But there's going to be some new subclasses introduced.
I know.
I don't know what they are or when that will be, apart from it will be 2025, but it's happening. How happy does this make you feel?
It's good. I still have so much to explore in this game. Just yesterday, I started my first ever honor mode run on the game. Yeah, honor mode. So that's the highest difficulty setting. Right. You only have one save. So if you die, you just die. There's no going back. There's no scum saving. There's no nothing. And it's very challenging. So
that's very
frustrating.
Yes, it is very. I've done the tactician one, which is like the hard mode, but this is like another level. There's no saving. If you fluff a dice roll, people die. I've already killed Gale by accident on a bad dice roll. Just immediately died, and that was it. It's not forgiving. But yes.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway.
So that means all the subclasses and stuff we're getting in the 2025 D&D stuff is going to be put into Baldur's Gate. That is a bit of news you were sharing.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
I thought it would make you happy.
It does make me happy. Thank you very much.
We talked about another couple of bits and pieces before talking about the Monster Manual, as it's pronounced, the Monster Manual. So the 2014 core rulebooks, way back 10 years ago in 2014.
Yes.
So over 3 years sold the same as the 2024 core rulebooks have to date.
Wow.
Which is astonishing.
That's a lot of books.
That is a lot of books. That is a lot of books.
Do we know, have they said how many books?
No. They have
okay.
Not. That is something you could probably dig into and find out, but
we have not.
I don't know how many books that is.
I'm thinking like a couple of warehouses full, you know.
Definitely more than 4.
Definitely more than 4.
I'm thinking probably like those Indiana Jones.
7, maybe 8 or 9 books, maybe.
Oh, that many.
That many.
You reckon I might get a medal on Drive for RPG for the number of books.
yes. What's under copper? Tin seller.
There is nothing under copper.
But anyway, yeah, I thought that was interesting. They say that the things that they credit to this massive growth is things like Stranger Things. They credit Honor Among Thieves, the movie, to it. Baldur's Gate 3 obviously has helped grow the audience. I know when you say like Honor Among Thieves, I mean on cinema scales it didn't do that well.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that on D&D scales that wasn't a lot of eyeballs seeing stuff about D&D that would not have normally seen stuff about D&D.
That's true. I wondered how many people watched that movie that hadn't played D&D. I wonder if
I reckon quite a lot.
You know what I mean?
It was presented as a mainstream Chris Pine Guardians of the Galaxy-esque comedy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I guess.
Advertising.
I can only speak anecdotally, but I can say that like there's a fairly regular stream of people saying, "Oh, I've just seen Honor Amongst Thieves." This Dungeons and Dragons thing looks quite interesting.
It's having quite a resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a lot of people. It's just like my single observations. I am but a single observer, but yeah, it does happen.
Yeah. So also, which this is quite interesting. They mentioned that they have 85 plus million global fans. Notice this is not 85 plus million players. This is people who have seen the film, who've interacted with the brand in some way, watched Stranger Things, or all the different ways you can interact with D&D, novels, films, TV shows, cartoons, video games.
No attempt has been made to say whether there's any double counting or not, because how would you? You can maybe do some surveys or something. Okay, but we'll take 85 million just as it's a number, as good as any. Yeah,
well, I mean, how many people played Baldur's Gate 3, for example? They're all counted. That's a good few million, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Just that one game on its own, let alone all the other things that are going on.
That's just me playing it many times.
That's just you playing it 85 million times.
Yeah.
This is like being on multiple computers, playing them all simultaneously on tactician mode. And that's just what she does to relax nowadays.
You've seen that. It's just like all these walls just filled with different walls of like screens, all with different instances of Baldur's Gate 3.
It is both terrifying and slightly intriguing.
Set up for a LAN party. Now I just need friends.
Woo! Let's go LAN party. So I do find it amusing, especially coming from Jess. I can't be bothered learning complex rules. Hancock, especially.
What?
I could never learn how to GM. I could never learn the rules for D&D. It's far too complicated.
Yeah, you did.
I do. Yeah. All right. I run games now. I haven't done it for a while, but
you do.
No, I did last month. I ran games last month. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I have derailed the conversation. I apologize.
Yeah.
So on this podcast,
that's not the sort of thing we do. We're so professional.
Should we talk about Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual?
I just want to do the last little stat that they threw in there.
Okay.
The last little stat was D&D Beyond now has more than 19 million registered users. That's
more than Level Up Gateway.
Considerably more than that. Yeah. But that's only because Level Up Gateway is just in private alpha testing at the moment.
That's the reason. Yeah. When it goes live, 19 million.
19 million. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The journey to 90 million users begins with but a simple move to the open beta.
Indeed.
Yeah. But that's a lot of people. I mean, that's not subscribers.
No,
not necessarily paying users. You can. There's a free tier on D&D Beyond, and that'll be the bulk of it.
Yeah.
But still, 19 million.
Yeah.
I mean, my account's a free account. I haven't got I'm not a subscriber.
I think I have one. I haven't used it in years, but I used to.
I've got a free account, and I bought the Dragonlance book. And that's it. I think
you do like to lance dragons.
I do like to lance a good dragon. No, a bad dragon. I like to lance evil dragons. I don't like to lance good dragons.
I apologize. I apologize.
Right, where are we? Let me get the monster manual then. Okay, let's do the monster manual.
Ta-da!
A lot of information about the monster manual.
So it's coming out in like a month.
I don't even know where to start. It's like this fire hose of information here. I think this is going to be a little bit scattered, but hey.
So it's coming out on the 18th of February. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's is that mainstream release? That's right. So it will come out 2 weeks before in hobby stores in America, which will be the 4th of February. I think I want to say
definitely early February.
It's soon, very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had this big press event, and they went through the monster manual with people from various outlets, YouTubers, all sorts of different people were there. It's a big thing. And they went into quite a bit of detail. So they reiterated like the 85 new monsters that are going to be in there, in addition to the ones that we're familiar with already, bringing it up to a total of 500 odd.
That's a lot of monsters.
There's a lot of monsters, and some of these were sort of like the primeval owlbear, which is a really nasty version of the owlbear. The blob of annihilation, which sounds nasty. The vampire nightbringer, which I think is an even more powerful vampire. Is that the blob of annihilation? No, that's a beholder of some kind. That's an undead beholder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have some images here.
We've seen the cover of the monster manual.
Is that the primeval owlbear?
It's a picture of an owlbear I have.
It looks a bit cute, to be honest. It looks a little bit cute.
I know. If not friend, we're not we're friend shaped.
Yeah. Except that beak is jagged.
Yeah, but he's smiling with teeth.
Serrated, which is a function which helps avoid things from escaping from the beak forwards, so that they only go backwards to exit through the so-called south mouth.
So your love and friendship will never leave it.
Yeah. Anyway. And the Haunting Revenant. We can see the art for that. That's the house. The Haunting Revenant.
That looks like a werewolf to me.
No, there's a piece of art that's like a revenant that's a house. That's it.
Yes.
That is. I love that piece of art. That is amazing. We basically got a house with two windows are glowing as eyes, and then the bottom half of it is like opening up like a mouth.
Yeah, Tudor timber framed meets Ghostbusters with a lot of jaggedy timber teeth and so forth. Yeah, it's very good. That's strong.
And as well as the images, also stats for lots of monsters have been revealed as well. So we have some stats to discuss and
crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, one thing they said about this is that there's a lot more high level stuff in here compared to the 2014 book.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still got all the usual low level stuff that the 2014 book had, but they've added a whole bunch of high level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I know that sometimes like D&D did get sort of like criticism for not supporting high level play, and there's that sort of chicken or the egg situation. Is that because people don't play it, or do people not play high level play because it's not supported, or what? I don't know the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
We got a question.
Yes.
People are watching. Amazing. They're new. They are new monsters. Yeah, there are new monsters like this Haunting Revenant that you can see on screen right now. Is it a brand new monster? Jonathan Nassar asked that question. Are the monsters just old monsters but with different templates applied? Yeah. 85 new monsters. I mean, I imagine some of them will be variants, to be fair.
But
like
there is
there. Like, I suppose that counts as a version of an existing monster. I guess. But that Haunting Revenant, I love that. It's just amazing. I want to use that game in my. I just like the art. I just want to use that monster.
Yeah.
You meet in a tavern, but there's a twist.
I'm assuming it's got speed. I know it's got speed. At 30 feet, it can move. You can be cased by a house.
Yeah, that
would ruin your day.
That's why it's terrifying. And
yeah, indeed. Listener Michael Shan does note that the Haunting Revenant does explain why the Baba Yaga's hut has legs. Those time when
it needs to run away.
Yeah.
Or in this case, pursue adventurers at high speed.
Yeah.
I mean, other new creatures, we have Sphinxes of Wonder, which we had the artwork for last week on. I don't know if I have it on this.
They're like little painted cats.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much, look like painted cats. I don't think I have the artwork this week for that. And there's also as you mentioned, the Blob of Annihilation. I don't have the artwork there for that, but it's a high CR ooze threat. So there is new stuff in the book, and obviously all the old stuff as well has had a tweak with the stats and things like that. So
one of the other things they've done, and this is a brilliant idea, I don't know where they got it from, but they've included tables of random fluff text to be applied to each creature. For example, the gelatinous cube that I'm looking at right now, you roll D6 and it says what's floating in the cube. It could be a chest or a recently trapped mimic or a key to a nearby door or coffer, a remarkable weapon in need of repair, a skeleton belonging to a famous adventurer, a tablet bearing a mysterious message. So like contextual tables of information along with each monster. It's an amazing idea.
Yes.
Incredibly good idea.
I mean, you know what? They could have gone the extra mile and maybe this is just like crazy idea. Hear me out. But I know stuff like Rangers, they have advantage on intelligence and wisdom checks to determine information about, like, certain enemies, right?
Do you know what? I haven't actually seen any evidence that there's knowledge checks in there. There might be, but I haven't seen them, and they haven't been mentioned. I'm not saying they're not in there.
Like, I mean, that's the extra mile. It'd be like if they had some sort of, I don't know, little tables where you could get information about the monsters. Maybe the Rangers could roll for. That would be, or even,
I don't think that's in there. I don't think it is.
No. You have to look in different books for that, I think.
Yeah. Oh, so we got we previewed like the Ancient Gold Dragon. I think it was last week, but we only had the left half of the stat block last week. We've now got the full stat block, and also some notes about how it's different to the old one. And this is like the stat block format. You can see the different. I mean, we've covered a lot of this stuff already, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of compiled into one kind of image. So you can see the initiative modifier at the top there, which is a very useful idea. I like that. You can see the new layout, the stat modifiers and the saves. You can see how traits and actions are separated into different sections with headers now. Different phraseology, like they're using the terms D20 test.
Yeah.
One thing that I have noticed is spells. So if you look at these stat blocks, all it does is tell you that they can cast a spell, but you still have to go and look it up somewhere else.
So flipping back and forth. Do they at least give you ribbon bookmarks?
The mark of a truly high quality product.
So you see this dragon.
Sorry.
You see this dragon. You can see what spells it's got. Detect magic and guiding bolt and things like that. But you've got to go and look those spells up elsewhere.
One thing I do notice, which is maybe more of a metadata sort of thing, is it mentions just on the right hand side, second one from the bottom, new legendary actions, crowd control, range attack, mobility, and melee attacks, which is a use of language which I find quite intriguing, because that's the sort of language that you will come across quite frequently if you are looking through Reddit forums and so forth, and shows heavy influence from the world of MMORPGs. So I'm just looking at that and thinking, okay, so that's a bit of a departure for them to actually explicitly use that text in a customer-facing context.
I don't think there's anything wrong with them taking, learning lessons from other, mediums.
I don't at all either. I do find it interesting that they are bringing it in, because I think that was a criticism that was rightly or wrongly often leveled at 4th edition. So it's interesting to see that sort of language starting to make a comeback.
Fair enough. I mean, it's not in the book itself. It doesn't look like it's just that sort of infographic. But
it's a line of text. It's not in the actual text itself, but it's interesting. Like, has metadata, so maybe a little bit more about how the people at Wizards and Hasbro are thinking.
No, I agree. I mean, I think there's been a few different, like Bloodied is back in the hit points. I don't think they don't actually mention it in the stat block there, but Bloodied as a condition is back. We know that, and that's at half hit points. And like in 4E and Level Up Advanced 5E, it doesn't do anything itself. It's just a trigger for other things, which possibly an ability that can only be used when bloodied or something like that. A Q for, say, elite monsters to switch into their more powerful form and go extra berserk, which I must say I have rather enjoyed using. That's another thing they're doing. Like, each entry has a little kind of byline. Each monster has a byline. Just kind of like a one sentence that tells you what the monster is before it delves into the whole page of fluff text. So, for example, the gargoyle is a sculpted sentinel hidden in plain sight. And I think that's quite useful and quite cool. We're flashing through on the screen a whole bunch of stat blocks here because I put a little compilation together of all of the different stat blocks that have been previewed so far. There's been like, I don't know, like 8 or 10 of them or something so far. And we'll put a link in the show notes. So wherever you're watching this, we will put a link in the show notes. You can go and see these actual stat blocks because there's quite a few of them. And you can sort of see how these things actually manifest. Just Digital Atomos Cube, for example, that little table I was referring to.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they've updated the artwork as well.
All of the artwork's redone.
Yes.
One thing that... Sorry, Jess, go on.
No, I was going to say I've got artwork for some of the new monsters as well, because we were talking about that earlier.
So one thing they said about their approach to the artwork is in the 2014 book, they had what's called hero shots, which is kind of like you see the monster, but not on a background, not in a context. It's just a monster. In this book, every monster is shown in a context. So it's like doing something or it is somewhere. So it's not like just the isolated image of the monster.
Yeah. It's not like a shambling skeleton, and that's your skeleton. It's like you'd have a skeleton in a dungeon, say. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that's better or worse. It's just a design choice. It's fine. It's choice, either way. Either way is fine. But it's notable they've done that. Yeah. I mean, the artwork does look amazing.
I mean, there's the half dragon.
Yes, the half dragon
looks really cool. I thought that was interesting because they look different from Dragonborn. So they are kind of a humanoid dragon, but very different design to Dragonborns. And they're not a playable character race. They are a monster to kind of fight.
Well, they're more dragon-like than Dragonborn, aren't they?
Yeah,
definitely so. Yes.
Yeah. So,
I was thinking it was a very odd choice to have a red dragon that looked like it had been like the steroids sort of thing. And
that is one hench red dragon.
Like you say, has not skipped leg day either. It deals an average of 29 points of damage when using its multi-attack action.
Wow. That'd ruin your day, wouldn't it?
It would. It would ruin my day. I'm like an NPC with like 4 hit points. I would be gone.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just a village townsfolk, the local bookseller. 4 hit points.
I mean, we'd just be one shot the lot of us. That's it. Game over. Yeah.
Absolutely. We also have. I was just going through some of the new ones. We have some Cyclops as well. So
complete with realistic armpit hair.
Yes, which we'd love to see. Yeah, CR of 10 and Radiant Strike melee attack.
Oh, goodness.
What is interesting is that everything is in alphabetical order in this book. It's not like before they had NPCs and animals in separate sections. They've literally just put everything in alphabetical order. So if you're looking for a cultist, you just look at C in the book. You don't go to the appendix and then look in the NPCs and look for C there.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you're looking for, say, a Marolith, you would now look in the M.
Instead of demons, comma, Marolith sort of thing. Yeah.
Which I can understand the joys of that and so forth, but
I think for some things it makes sense. Some things like oozes, for example, they called those out. Like if you're looking for a Celestimus cube, do you look under G or O? So now you look under G, not oozes, and then find Celestimus cube within the oozes section.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, but if you're looking to a demon or devil, you're not 100% sure.
But what that does mean you can't do, though. You can't have an overall section on devils introducing the concept of devils and hell and all this sort of stuff, and then delve into each devil, because you'd have to repeat that in each devil then, in that case. So I'm not sure how they're handling that. What is a devil?
It's a different choice, isn't it, of structuring it. So it's just...
Yeah. I mean, the way I'd handle it, I suppose, no one asked me, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is I would probably have that sort of section maybe at the back and then list out the various devils. So if you were thinking of doing something themed, you'd be like, let's have a look at dragons. Oh yeah, here's all the dragons, devils.
I'm pretty sure they're doing that, putting this at the back.
It seems like a really obvious way to make the experience for the players and the dungeon masters better. So I would hope they do that. That seems like a real gimme as a way to organize things. But again, it's like different times, different paces. No one knew that 5th edition was going to take off like a rocket all the way to the moon and so forth. So they had a different budget back in their days.
That is true. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, there's
Are
also
these
things like
birds?
so the NPCs, for example, like they talk about like pirates as being a new sort of category of NPCs, and what they're saying is they're trying to make sure that the NPCs represent different tiers of play. So you've got like pirates, pirate captains, pirate admirals at different CRs, so low level and high level characters. So the whatever level you are, you can have an adventure themed around baddie pirates if that's what you want to do.
I mean, you've always been able to do that to a certain extent. I've always been a big fan of saying, knights, gladiators, we'll just describe them as kobolds.
Yeah, of course.
And use those stat blocks. And people are like, these kobolds are very crunchy. Yeah.
Yeah. What else is there? The bullet pup is quite amusing. Baby bullet, the land shark.
If not friend.
I don't know. I don't know how cute it would be.
If they don't have rules,
they
don't have rules for when your players inevitably try and befriend it, then they are missing a trick.
Yeah.
And do we want to talk about the animal lords as well? That we
can talk about the animal lords. Yeah.
Yes.
5e, have they?
So they are new. They are new to 5e. So this is a new thing. So they're celestials, and there's 3 different variants of them. There's forager, hunter, and sage. They're all CR20 and have different effects. Oh, I think my internet just went funny.
You've frozen and you've disappeared. We've lost Jess, and she's back.
Yes.
There we go.
Anyway.
You're back.
Let's talk about the animal lords for a minute.
So previously, there would be things like, and I can't remember their names, but it'd be like the cat lord and the wolf lord and things like that. Looks like they're sort of making them more sort of 3 generic ones here to cover larger category. I'm not sure how they're doing it exactly, but they're kind of like the epitome of an animal type. Maybe not even that, more than a manifestation of the, not the god of, but
avatar perhaps.
Ish.
Okay.
I mean, they're not manifestations of gods.
Okay. So maybe sort of the essential form, as in the very essence of that creature type is this.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah. So like just said, CR20 hanging around in the Beastlands, which is a outer plane.
Yeah.
But will they still want to play fetch? That's the question.
Depends whether it's the cat or the dog.
Yeah.
That's play fetch too, Russ. If you don't know that, then your cat
doesn't play fetch.
Your cat doesn't talk to you, Russ. It just
my cat occasionally talks to me. Thank you very much. My cat doesn't talk to you. That is true.
Well, that's true. Your cat has never bought me flowers either. That is true.
My cat hides whenever people come around. And there are some people who do not believe that we have a cat, but we do have a cat.
I mean, I do the same thing sometimes when people come around the house. I also relatable.
But we were able to lay you out from behind the sofa with a plate of chocolate biscuits, so it was all okay.
What's this picture we have here?
We have new yes, we do, and there's
chimera. Sorry,
there's chimeras and krakens and rust monsters and all sorts, and there's lots of undead things as well. So I'll skim through some of the artwork there as well, but there's like lots of lich lords and new versions, undead versions.
No, we're looking here. So we're looking here at a beholder, which is like a sort of undead beholder with a glowing red eye in the center, and then the eyes around it aren't on stalks. They appear to be just flowing orbs kind of around it. I'm assuming they're supposed to be the eyes, but they're not connected by flesh. Sort of thing.
because it is an undead. So there's lots of gruesome undead cool things in there, which I like the artwork for. Some nice spirits and ghasts and things like that, and just general grossness that I gotta say,
the artwork is cool. The artwork in this thing is gorgeous. It is really nice.
But there's lots of like stat previews, and I put the link in the chat for that. There's some nice skeleton, not skeleton. Oh, but they've got different variants of them. So there's a flaming one, a minotaur one,
Minotaur.
Minotaur.
You are not Americans. Minotaur.
No,
I know.
It's a carryover from the art from the 2014 edition, but still very good. I mean, I must say, looking at this artwork, it's very reminiscent to me of, like, say, 1980s, early 90s book covers. of each illustration, which is absolutely incredible to me. Like, you know, it's the sort of thing that like a publisher for horror books, they would have had commissioned, like, you know, a full-size Vallejo, and it's like that on almost every page, and that is it's gorgeous. I'm just reeling in culture shock as a time traveler from the past.
It's
it cannot
a pretty book. Yeah, no, it's a pretty book, and there's some really talented artists that worked on it. Yeah,
and they talk about alignment a little bit as well.
Oh yeah,
which is interesting. So, what are they doing with alignment regarding sentient creatures?
Well, there's a vampire familiar stat block here that says neutral evil next to it.
So they are keeping alignment.
Okay.
Alignment is in there. But what they are saying is that even though there's an alignment in there, what they say in the introduction is this doesn't mean that every creature of this type is that alignment. It's a suggestion. And it sort of says in the introduction, it's a suggestion. If you want it to be different, it's different. It's, you know, it's whatever you need it to be for your encounter, for your scene, for your scenario, for your adventure, whatever.
I mean,
which is basic common sense. But
yeah, I mean, it does make more sense, like I say. I mean, surely 5th edition is not the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons to come out and say this. I mean, this has been received wisdom for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely,
you think that, but it bears repeating because you do have some people are like, no, you can't have this because the species things is like this. So
yeah, we got the whole orcs and evil controversy last year or the year before, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And you know, so people are invested in that as a topic. So whether you explicitly say it or don't, for better or worse, does matter because people do care whether you say it or not. And
interestingly, the haunting revenant, that spooky house, is just neutral. It's not evil. It's just existing as a giant undead house.
So Jeremy Crawford talked about neutral actually, because neutral kind of used to be a stance rather than a lack of alignment. Like druids would be neutral, and it'd be like Switzerland. It'd be like we are carefully balancing the good and the evil and not joining one side or the other. It's a deliberate choice and stance. Whereas neutral could also mean they don't have an alignment whatsoever. It's just they're unaligned.
That's what I took it to mean. It's like a force of nature. Like a lot of wild animals and beasts aren't acting in a way that's good or evil. They're just running on instinct and survival. So it's not, you know, it doesn't have a philosophy behind it.
So it's been different. It's been different in different editions, definitely.
Yeah.
Here, they're definitely going like that. Neutral basically means kind of whatever you want, really. But in the past, it has been neutrality has been an actual
alignment.
Yeah. On a sort of moral axis, which is good to evil.
Yeah.
Neutral was actually a thing that you chose to actually choose to be and manifest.
Yeah. But they're using the word neutral. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking over you again. I do apologise, but they're using neutral, and maybe a better term might be unaligned.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying there. That's different to unaligned, I think. Unaligned means you don't have an alignment. Neutral means you do have an alignment, and it is proactively neutral. You're going out of your way to be neutral, you know.
Like the BBC.
So to be clear, the Haunted Revenant is going out of its way to be neutral.
But no, that's how it used to be, is what I'm saying. Now they're saying it kind of just means. Well, I'll read the quote. How about that? So Jeremy Crawford, he said this. Our humanoid creatures and stuff, it does still have a suggested alignment, but it's one that you never saw in 2014, neutral, because in the old days, neutral really just meant whatever. And so we've really embraced that. And we give you guidance in the new monster manual that when you see neutral, that is especially an invitation for you as the dungeon master to decide. So that's kind of what it's saying.
I see.
It's whatever alignment you want it to be. So that revenant, the haunting revenant there could be good.
It's true.
Yeah. So it just eats criminals.
Oh,
bad
God.
people that come into the village. It's
like
protecting the village.
it's like the Batman of
yeah,
haunted houses.
yeah.
It's like if Wayne Manor followed Batman around.
Became sentient.
Yes, and started hunting criminals on its own. That would be amazing.
Why not?
It would certainly make going down a dark alley a lot more interesting.
It would.
If there was a chance that the houses are out on the other side, you might then just eat you.
Yeah, shoulder checks you.
Ah!
Wow. I'm not going to get that
Love
image
it.
out of my head now.
Put it in a game.
Use it in your game.
Mm.
I will. I will use it in my game. That is the thing that I will do. Right. What else? What other news about? We've got quite a lot of bits about the Monster Manual, kind of all just sort of like all over the place. Did we want to go through those stat blocks quickly or not?
Sure, I've got some on the screen.
Okay, so this is the where are we? Here we go. The Empyrean Iota.
Tell us about those,
Yeah.
Russ.
This is a new monster. Not seen this one before, but as I understand it, it's a very, very sort of low-level monster, which is kind of a mote of thought, almost.
Yes.
Yeah, it just kind of floats around as a concept or a mote of thought.
Is it a celestial or something? Is it?
Yeah.
Celestial or fiend.
Ah.
So it could be
What
either.
change is it?
Let's have a look. So it's got a bonus action of a healing word. It can cast.
Yeah, one.
It can cast Bless and Lesser Restoration.
Nice.
And also it can do radiant or necrotic damage to you. And basically it can just float around. It's it's just a little, CR1 creature.
Yeah. Oh.
They look a lot more powerful than a CR1.
They do
When you
look more
look at
powerful than
the
that
artwork.
Yeah.
They look really big and imposing and like warrior-like.
Yeah.
But
I'm expecting a smiting in my future if I saw one of them. I'd be like,
Yeah.
don't fancy my chances. But it's like it's CR1. It's like, well,
So
what size are they?
What medium I'd expect.
Medium. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So it's medium sized. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, it's not unfeasible, but it's like, terrible things come in medium-sized packages. You're a small size.
Anyway.
And this is the gargoyle and the gelatinous cube.
Anything interesting about those that you spotted on those stats?
So you can see both of those have context tables.
Okay.
As you can see. So the gelatinous cube has stuff that it's very small. It's squinting slightly to read that. It's got stuff that you might find floating in the cube. The gargoyle has gargoyle sculptures. The gargoyle is sculpted to appear like, and then 6 different things. And it's got where the gargoyle's located. The gargoyle conceals itself amidst, and that's a D8 table. So you can roll between those and just. I mean, this is all right. I like made jokes earlier about where they got the idea from, because obviously we did all that in our books ages ago. But I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. And I'm not saying that we were the first to do it either.
No.
And it has been in D&D books before, so I was joking. But I think it's good stuff to put in there. I think it's important stuff to put in there because it's just stuff for the GM or the DM to just flesh out the encounter or the without having to rack their brains at the table and come up with stuff. All this kind of like overload of things that you've got to be doing.
I think
when the party makes a quick right turn when they were supposed to go left, then you come up with something.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's what GMs want, I think, when running campaigns. So, and it's what they've liked in other books that like third-party D&D stuff. So it makes perfect sense that it's put in here.
Yeah, so that's the adult green dragon you've called up there, Jess, which is that's the first one we ever saw, I think, isn't it?
It was a while back, yeah.
And
that's what we talked about.
Ago, I think.
So we talked about the initial stat block changes with that, like with the initiative. That was a big shining thing we liked about that, the way that's to the side.
Yeah. So what else we got? So this is the Kuatoa. We've seen that one before as well. That one, the skeletons and the Kuatoa, we saw about 9 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So the Kuatoa, you can see on there, it's got like deity features. So you roll D10 twice to find out what its head and what its body is like. So it's all these kind of contextual things that they put in there. I mean, looking at it, it looks like each monster only has like 1 or 2 things like that. Usually 1. In the case of the gargoyles 2. So it's not like we did where you got the signs and you got the treasure and you got the names, and you got all the different things that we put in there.
Yeah, you've got like signs and portents, the idle behaviors,
the knowledge tables and stuff like that. So it's a step towards what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but they crammed in 85 monsters. I mean, I know what I would find very useful. It'd be like, for the tactical combat side of things, it would be really good to have a sort of like maybe a table. Like again, I'm leaning on 4th edition because I really liked it from there. But like where you could have various different roles for the monsters and different ways to put them together to help you make more interesting encounters.
Yeah,
because like a lot, I mean, there are books out there like Keith Amman's The Monsters Know What They're Doing, but for a lot of the times it's like the tactics boil down to it screams and charges at you.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a tactics entry in these monsters unless it's buried in the fluff text. It doesn't seem to be there at all.
Yeah. Well, that's something Level Up book does quite well.
I think it's a useful thing.
I was thinking
he has done that before as well.
Yeah, I was thinking on a wider scale, which is like ways to mix up the monsters.
Yeah,
to give you more interesting things. We got a question.
Yeah, like kobolds making traps and putting a gelatinous cube in the 10-foot pit, that sort of thing.
We have more of a statement. So Vane has said, "It hurts my brain that they've decided to remove the spellcasting modifier for attacks and now want you to just do the maths instead."
Just for context, people listening on the podcast as opposed to watching, as we're live streaming for the first time ever, and we've got we didn't really announce it, but a few people have discovered that we're doing it and are making comments in the chat. So we're trying to make this as interactive as we can. So that was a comment from Bane TBC, who commented in the chat. I mean, we talked about that earlier, didn't we? The spells are just listed as spells they can cast, and you kind of have to go and look all that up. Which I'm really surprised by.
Yeah. And the spellcasting DC is there, but not the attack modifier, they were saying. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is. I mean, you can calculate it, but I wouldn't like to have to keep on having to do that on the fly.
Yeah. No. I think that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, what else have we got? With the Vampire Familiar, we've got called up there.
Yep.
So not a lot to see there because you've only got the stat block itself and the art. We haven't actually got any of the fluff text or the tables or anything with that. But you can basically see it's CR3, a medium or small humanoid. I don't know what to say about this. It's low
level vampire sort of thing.
And those are kind of the stat blocks. Those are the stat blocks we have. The rest is just a lot of pretty art pieces and things like that. But
Yeah, so we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 stat blocks have been shared so far.
But yeah, that we've gone through. And they've released the pretty edition of the cover as well, which has a very nice mind flayer on top. So
yeah. The alternate edition for hobby stores.
Yes.
Yeah. I do like those alternate edition covers, to be honest. I haven't got any of the 2014 books yet. I think if I get them, I will try and get the alternate covers. I like them a lot.
Oh, yeah. Like the one of the Dragon Enjoying Teawood Adventurers is I would say, an attractive piece of art in its own right.
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed the Monster Manual Mind Flayer does appear to be holding a tadpole. Would you agree, Jessica?
Yes, in a very Baldur's Gate 3-esque fashion. And it's even got its hand outstretched, offering it to us.
Would you care for a tadpole?
No, thanks. No, thanks. I spend a lot of my time trying to get tadpoles out of my brain in Baldur's Gate. So, yeah.
Well, what else are we going to talk about the Monster Manual? Is there anything else?
I don't have a huge amount more to say really than what we initially saw when we first saw the first stat block. It looks like it's going to be very pretty as a nice thing to have. I'm not sure it's something I'm going to pick up, but if people are picking up and playing D&D, I think it will be a pretty nice thing to have that has
more monsters
interesting monsters in.
Yeah, more monsters is always useful. You've got 85 new monsters in there. Why not? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the art upgrade is definitely significant.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, that Tomb of Beasts from Kobold Press.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's got 85 new monsters, but then if I've already got all the old monsters, has it changed that much? I mean,
I suppose 50 quid for 85 new monsters is quite an ask.
Yeah, I mean that's not the scale of things we're after. And again, it's like those value adds I'm after, which is, does it have like themed tables so you can see how all the various monsters are like exist in an ecosystem? Because they have removed that, which is, I would generally say, a good idea. Like you were saying with the devils, there's no introduction of devils. These are all the devils you find. That was actually quite solid.
I am interested to see how they handle that, because I feel like things like devils need an overarching,
like a framework.
And if they're not
there.
doing that, I don't know. Or maybe they've done it for some things and not other things. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
it feels like we're losing world building power there, which puts more work onto the DM. In a game which puts a lot of work onto the DM, like and as someone who is a hobbyist, like I do not look kindly upon having extra work being assigned homework.
I guess what it needs to do, have the index list both.
Oh, how do you mean?
So it would go ooze, gelatinous cube, and also gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
And if it did that in different in the appropriate place in the index, that would go a long way to alleviating that, I think.
Certainly moving away from the player's handbook style of 2014, where it had like out of air, C, lack of breathing, C, low oxygen, C, suffocation, and then finally give you a page reference. That moving away from that would be good, I would say.
That was bad. I agree. Everyone agrees that was terrible.
Well, I mean, indexing is done by hand. It is a skill profession. I found out more about it. I'm like, wow, that is a lot of work.
I've had to do it myself a couple of times. Don't like doing that. I do not like it. That is not a fun job. It takes so long, especially when you're talking like a big sort of 500-page book.
Yeah,
and you're going through it word by word. Oh, it's horrible. Horrible.
You're not seeing a lot of indexes in indie books for a reason. It's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
Manually,
it's horrible.
Yeah, having more monster stat blocks, brilliant, love it. Advice on how to use monsters, that's more interesting.
That's in there, definitely. They've talked a bit about that.
Yeah. How to mix and match monsters to make it good, and the balancing encounters.
It'd be interesting to see what they do about encounter building. They haven't really talked a lot about that, at least yet.
Well, I mean, it's pretty key, because that's your number one complaint. How do I balance an encounter? And nowadays, I'm just like, oh, well, here's the table from Level Up. Enjoy. I suppose you could also use the online computer tool if you like, or there's Cobalt Fight Club if you want. But if you just got the CRs, this is a table that does it. It's really easy.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not in there. I don't know.
We don't know.
Just because they haven't talked about it yet doesn't mean it's not in there. It might not be in there.
The next month is going to be littered with more information as the release is coming up. So I'm sure next week we'll have something more to share as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is going straight onto D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
On day one release, integrated into that. So that will help with encounter building to an extent, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, speaking as fans, what's your first impressions of the book?
I think it looks gorgeous. I really think it looks like a great book. Of the 3 books, is the one I'm interested in.
Yes. Okay. I think it's going to be a pretty book. It's probably not one I'm going to buy, but I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to compare it to stuff that we published, because I just think that feels a little bit.
No.
Oh no, this isn't me comparing it to that. It was just I'm comparing it to all the other indie games out there. Like if I've got 50 quid to spend on tabletop RPG, I'd rather buy 2 or 3 zines or something from other smaller creators. But that's just me, because I'm not running D&D regularly. If I was running D&D regularly, 5e, then this would be something I'd pick up.
It looks like a better monster book than the first one.
It looks really prettier. I think the little tweaks in the stats will make it.
Do you know what Great. So it's prettier. I think they've done some good stuff with it. I think they've made some things are a bit odd, like the way the spells are listed. the fact that they made a nod towards including sort of encounter and world building tools in the monster entries, but not gone anywhere near as far as I'd like. They basically like a little token nod. They'll include a little table with like what a gargoyle looks like, but I wish they'd gone further. I wish they'd gone further.
Like, what's it doing? Like,
what's it doing? What are signs of it?
How do you know there's gargoyle coming?
Little encounter tables for each one. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and they haven't gone that far, which I guess I suppose I shouldn't complain because that still gives us our USB. So I guess.
I mean, for me, I'm like, well, I do like the art. The art is nice. It's strong. But I do tend to be a bit more tools oriented. Yeah. So I'm like, what new tools? Because like 85 new monsters, that's pretty cool. But I can make my own monsters if I want to. I can reskin things quite happily.
And to be honest, monsters are a dime a dozen, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you can get a lot. Like
you can get a lot of monsters very easily.
Yeah, random tools, like just grab them off shelves. It's very easy to get. But I what I'm interested in is how do I use it? That like is an improved way. Can I do monsters better? If I do monsters better, that might be worth the stick price. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out soon. We'll find out more. We'll talk more about this next week.
Times. Yeah, no. I mean, as I say, excellent job, I think, and an excellent product. But whether it's relevant to me and my particular set of things, we just don't know.
I think I wasn't sure whether to pick up the other two. I think I will pick this one up. I think I will in the alternate cover. I just think this does look like a nice book. I mean, would I buy this over the Dinosaur book we talked about earlier? That's the question. And the answer is I would buy the Dinosaur book first.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I think if you like your dinosaurs and your dinosaur hunting, the dinosaur books are strong. Oof.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Right, I think we're probably done for today, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And if people listening to the podcast want to come along and watch us live record it, we'll be at 2 p.m. GMT, which I believe is like 9 a.m. Eastern.
We haven't really talked about this, have we?
No.
So last week,
we
recorded it, but we didn't stream it.
Not
but
live.
It is available live on YouTube and anywhere else? Or is it just YouTube? I'm not sure.
We posted it on YouTube, but we'll be live streaming going forward on the EN World Facebook page, the EN World YouTube page, and the EN World Twitch page as well. So you
can literally join in the show and make comments, and those who have been watching have seen it. We've been flashing comments up on the screen as well. So it's just kind of fun, just like having people join in a little bit.
And if you can't make it live, you can still email in or write to us and ask your questions that way as well.
And of course, it'll still be available in the usual audio format. That's not changing. This isn't changing that in the slightest.
It's just a yes and situation.
Yeah, this is an additional thing, not a instead of thing.
Okay.
Right.
Well, on that note, shall we call it a day?
I think we are done. Oh look, someone. Look, I'm gonna show that comment. See, someone's just commented. Hello from 7:30 PST as I head to work. Yeah.
Have a great day. We're just finishing.
It's early. It's early. I know.
Yeah. 5:30 PST. 5:30 in the AM. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and Michael Shannon there says, so as it happens, this is the first time you've done this live. Excellent. Yep, it is. It is the first time we've done this live.
Yep, and nothing was set on fire, so we take that as
a win. I think, we're kind of learning as we go. It's going to change a little bit as we learn how to do it. And stuff. But
absolutely.
I think we're having fun, aren't we, at the moment?
We're having a nice time. Yeah. On that note, shall we leave?
Yeah, let's get out here. Let's go and have a weekend.
Thanks for everyone that watched, and thanks for
everyone.
Bye.
All the tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.